call this meeting to order. This is the December 14th, 2017 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council. Let everyone please stand. President Ricks, would you lead us in prayer?
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you that we're able to join together and get fellowship, Lord, and we're able to eat together, Lord, and we're able to have meetings like this where we make decisions that take care of the people in Livingston Parish. We ask your blessings upon us. And Lord, it's a special time of the year, Christmas, that we always remember the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and that's why we celebrate Christmas. We ask, Lord, that you keep us all safe, be with us this day and every day, Lord, and that we always put you first and seek your guidance and your will. Of course, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. King, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll take this time to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off or put it on mute. And this is a public meeting, so if you have anything in the meeting that you want to address, just raise your hand. We'll come to the microphone. We'll recognize and hear what you have to say, okay? Presentation. That's fine. That's okay. All right, we're going to cut right to it.
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Please call the roll, please.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Here.
Mr. Lovell.
Here.
Mr. Averett.
Here.
Mr. Mike is absent. Mr. Ward.
Here.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Here. All right. Now we're going to cut right to it. We are now entering a public hearing. Item 16. Item 16. Yeah. Public hearing to adopt LP ordinance number 17-46, amend council member compensation. Mr. King.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well, I'm ready to go with it. I guess does anybody got any questions on that? We need to read it by order?
Sandy, this is the amended version with
Yeah,
the
with
75%,
75%. Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Yes, sir.
which in essence leaves it the same as it currently is right now.
No
There'll be no
increase.
change in the pay rate as it stands currently.
That's correct.
So, any comments from the audience? All right, the public hearing is now closed. I need a motion.
Can I read it by title?
Absolutely. Well, fine, go ahead.
This is proposed ordinance 17-46, an ordinance amending compensation of council members as per section 2-5B of the Home Rule Charter and Louisiana Revised Statute 33-123.
Need a motion for to
A motion to call the vote. Any motion?
make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Second by Mr. King.
Yeah.
Ms. Sandy, would you call?
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Mr. Lovell.
Yes.
Mr. Averett.
Yes.
Mr. Mike is absent. Mr. Ard.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
We're now entering a public hearing again. Item 15, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 17-45. Commercial and residential construction permit fee increase. Mr. Talbert.
As y'all know, on our audits, we've been having a finding every year that our permits are not sequentially numbered, and that has to do with our old program. We're in the process of we're going to have a new program. Jennifer, you know when that's supposed to start? When's it supposed to go into, when's the new program actually going to take place?
I think February 1.
And ultimately, when that goes, is the increase going to start January 1, or the increase going to start when the new program starts?
The increase will start January 1.
Okay, so we're going to have a new increase January 1 of $50. And basically, the new program is going to allow, as a contractor, you'll be able to purchase your permit online, you'll be able to call for inspection online, you'll be able to go online and see if the inspection passed. And so the contractors that I've talked to about this situation are more than satisfied and not upset about the $50. because they feel just the ability of not having to make a trip to the job site just to look at the car to see if you passed or not is worth the value of the additional, fees. And the fees are just going to offset the cost of the program and the maintenance on it every year. Am I correct? That was the reason. So at this time, I'd like to, after the public comments, that we move forward with passing this ordinance.
All right. Any comments from the audience? All right, public hearing is now closed. Ms. Sandy, would you read by title?
This is proposed ordinance 17-45, an ordinance to amend and reenact section 4.5-13, chapter 4.5 of the Code of Ordinances, commercial construction permit fees, paragraph G, unit valuations, paragraphs 1 through 4 only, and section 4.5-14, residential construction permit fees, paragraph C, unit valuations, paragraphs 1 through 4 only, as more fully set forth herein.
Thank you, Ms. Sandy. I need a motion. Motion by Mr. Tower, second by Mr. Ard. Ms. Sandy, would you call the vote?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Averett?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhouse?
Yes. All right. We are re-entering the public hearing. Item 17, adoption of LP ordinance number 17-47, budget 2018 budget amendments. Mr. Talbot.
We've had some hearings throughout the, since October when the budget was introduced over the budget. This is the meeting that we adopt the budget. We had a change, 3 pages are going to change in the budget. The page titled the Fund 350, which is the live oak debt service of the ballpark out there in Watson for Rec District 2. They had a refi during the year, and it wasn't showing up on the front 2 pages. The numbers of the refinance of the debt didn't make it to the front 2. So we've got 2 new pages, which will be the summary of the 2018 budget and the amended summary of 17 and the 2017 budget that'll have to reflect in the change. But other than, when we change these 3 pages, that's the budget that we want to adopt. So recommend that we adopt the budget with the changes of these 3 pages to put in the last budget that we recommended out of the finance.
Thank you, Mr. Talbot. Any comments from the audience? Public hearing is now closed. Ms. Sandy, would you read by title?
Yes, sir. This is proposed ordinance 17-47, an ordinance amending the 2017 budget and adopting the 2018 budget of the Livingston Parish Council relative to the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, and capital improvement funds.
I need a motion to adopt ordinance 17-47.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Harris. Ms. Sandy, would you call the vote?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell? Mr. Averett?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhouse?
Yes. Okay, we're going to skip down to item, I'm sorry we're skipping around, we're just trying to accommodate people today. Item 11, acknowledge that Legacy Lane and Causey Crossing located in Council District 2 should not be in the parish maintenance system as it does not meet the stipulations of LP Ordinance 12-219 adopted on June 14th, 2012. Mr. Talbot.
Yeah, I had a constituent contact me the other day about a repair on Causey Crossing. And I told him, I said, I didn't think it was in the parish maintenance system. And he informed me that it had been in the parish maintenance system since 2012. Well, I had been to Causey Crossing before, and I knew it did not meet the standard that we had in place in 2012. So I contacted Ms. Sandy. Well, first I contacted planning to make sure that it was actually in the maintenance system. And then I contacted Ms. Sandy, and she gave me the ordinance and what was voted on. And then we talked about, she listened to the minutes, the actual discussion, and we talked and what the discussion was. Basically, the last ordinance says that they agreed to bring these 2 roads in the parish maintenance system if they met the current standard and DPW was supposed to inspect them. Well, there's no way they met the current standard in 2014 or 2012 because they don't meet the standard now. And there's no record of a DPW inspection, but they did get put on the list. So, I've been a strong proponent of only taking roads in the parish that belong on the list. And so consequently, when I found out there were 2 roads in my district that were brought into the parish wrongfully, onto the maintenance list, and should not be on the maintenance list, I felt that we need to remove them. And so that's what this is about. Legacy Lane and Causey Crossing are gravel driveways. There are a lot of people that live on them. I mean, there's a few people that live back there, and I'm going to catch some heat over it. But in fairness and being consistent about what we've tried to do in the past and what other councilmen have tried to do bringing roads in, that if a road doesn't meet the system, doesn't meet the requirements, and it was brought in after the requirements were put in place, after that committee studied for so long and came up with, what the requirements were to bring a road in, so that we're not asphalt people's driveways, and we're, to use somebody else's term, we're not asphalting trails that animals travel on, that we need to be consistent. So I'm going to ask that the council, I think Mr. Sam can verify the fact that it doesn't meet the standard, does it? And DPW never inspected it and said it met the standard. So given what the past ordinance said and what it required, Sandy, was this an ordinance or a resolution?
Resolution.
The resolution required, before they brought it in, the DPW inspected it meet the standard. It did not meet that. It doesn't meet it now. I think that we as a council need to remove those 2 roads from the parish maintenance system.
You do that
So
full resolution. Okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, that's my request. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna take some heat over from the people that live there, but I just think if we're gonna, if we're gonna do this the right way, then we need to be, stewards of the taxpayers' money with respect to road maintenance, and that's what we need to do. We don't need to upgrade roads that didn't meet the standard. We need to maintain roads that meet the standard.
So you make a motion in the form of a resolution?
That we form a resolution to remove Legacy Lane and Causey Crossing from the parish maintenance system.
Motion by Mr. Talbot. Second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. King. Any comments from the audience? If not, Ms. Sandy.
Oh, I got some.
Oh, well,
I just,
my bad. Go ahead.
yeah, I appreciate Mr. Talbert's approach here to have integrity and to be an honorable parish council member. I just would urge the council to really consider this. I'm not in opposition to Mr. Talbot wanting to take those 2 roads out. But I think you might be opening up a small can of worms, because at that point, then, because there's roads in my district, there's roads in every one of our districts that probably somehow, some way does not meet some type of parish standard. Standards have come in long after some of these roads were put in. I would really, and I'll support Mr. Talbot only because it's his district. But I would like to let it be known that I do not want Mr. Talbot picking the roads in my district and anyone else's district to take out of the parish maintenance system. And I just want you to know, this is, we've got people that have been using these roads for years. If we take them out of the parish maintenance system and a tree falls across the road and blocks it during a hurricane, legally, you can't even move the tree out of the way to protect the people so they can have access. And we've been through this before, and I've shown how I think it's hurting the parish if we don't use the resources that we have to at least keep the roads navigable and keep them from just getting slap up. You can do that without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars.
If it's a private road.
And so I guess I'm saying I'll support Mr. Talbert's motion, but again, it's only because he's asking for his district. And I hope that this doesn't lead to him or other parish council members traveling into other council members' districts and trying to take out roads out of your district. So that's, I'll support it for that reason.
Trust me, the only reason this road's is being removed. There are roads in my parish, in my district, and there are roads in your district that don't meet the standard. But they were brought into the parish maintenance system before the standard was created. This road was brought in after the standard was created, and the previous council, by resolution, said that they would only bring it in if the DPW said it met the standard. So all I'm doing is correcting a mistake. I'm not searching for roads to take out. This was a road brought in after the new standard we have now was adopted, and it was brought in with the previous council saying they would only bring it in if it met the standard. And obviously it got in without that happening.
And I understand, but what if some of those roads and scooters are minor up people's district by the previous council brought them in after? So I'm saying I don't want you coming into my district.
So what he's saying is, Frog, stay out of John's district. All right.
I got a call about Scooter's district today, and I told her that's his district.
And while you're out of state of mine too, that's good. So, all right, so we're clear on that.
Well, y'all can come look for them in mine, we'll pull them out. Hey,
We got a motion in
they're
a
not supposed to be in
second.
there.
Any comments from the audience? Any further comments from the council? Ms. Sandy, call the vote.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Lobel?
Yes.
Mr. Averett?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Only
sorry.
if it stays. I don't want this to happen.
Thank you, Tracy.
Merry
We know what you're
Christmas, everybody.
saying,
Y'all have a
John.
good evening.
Hey,
John, what's your stuff in? I need to know
Tell
where
him
to go.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. We're going to go to the parish president's report so we can accommodate a very
You
patient,
gonna lighten the mood for him?
our very patient leader.
I'm gonna call, Sam's gonna come up.
Okay.
I just wanna take this opportunity,
Going to look another day?
Yeah.
I just wanna take this opportunity to wish all of you a Merry Christmas, you and your families, and hope you have a happy New Year and a safe New Year. It's been a pleasure, it's been a great year, we've done a lot, got a lot of accomplished coming off of what we did in 2016. I think it's attributed to all of you all working together and working with administration. Thank you, guys, I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas.
You going to let Sam speak to power here? All right, Mr. Sam.
Okay, first, under the president's report, accept or reject the road material and supplies. I think you guys have the bids in front of you.
Packet. In your packet,
We
989.
would recommend you accept the low bids like we normally do. Just a little FYI for you, things didn't go up but the culverts, and they went a few nickels. Our sand and gravel, same price. Different vendor, but same price. So, as we paid in 2017, so that was good. So I'm just making a recommendation that y'all accept the bids that's presented.
Okay.
Any comments from the audience? Anything further from the council? I need a motion. Motion by Mr. Ard,
Are we doing,
second by
are we
Mr.
doing both of them at one time, or are we doing A and then B separately?
Already got a motion.
I'm A. I don't know anything about the prisoner's expense.
Yeah, let's do them separate.
So, motion and second. You got that, Ms. Sam?
No, sir, who did?
Jeff,
Ard.
1, Jeff, 2. Respectfully, I don't know.
My brother, Jeff.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Awesome. All right, item B, who is doing the prisoner supply bid?
You can just bring it up, it'll be fine.
I'll bring it up.
Tracy can do it.
Yeah. This is basically just the
Same
bid, the same situation, so year-end maintenance, like
That's
thing
correct. That's correct.
for the prison supplies and the bids.
And I
So
think you guys got the low bid in front of you.
I totally make this motion myself, but Home Rules Charter says I can't, so
Right.
I need a motion.
I got a moment.
Motion by Mr. Averett, second by Mr. Lobel, excuse me. So quiet over there, I forget your name sometimes. Any comments from the audience? Anything from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. We're going to go ahead real quick, Mr. Sam, and do the minutes. That way I can neaten up this here. Item 8 is the adoption of the minutes for the November 21st, 2017 regular meeting of the council.
So,
Motion by Mr. Wascom, second by Mr. Ard. Any comments from the audience? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Item 12, Department of Public Works.
Okay, item 12A, capital overlay program. Adopt a resolution to accept the road list as presented. And I think we along with our engineers, has talked to each one of you guys. If you have a question, I mean, that's left up to you, but I think each one of y'all has been contacted, and Mr. Ricks also has been contacted in the equation, so everybody seems to be fine with it. So I would ask you to let us move forward.
You got it.
The motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. King. Second by Mr. Lobel. There you go. Anything from the audience? Anything further from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Maybe.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is to adopt a resolution to authorize Macklin Taylor to go and put the thing together and go out for bid. So we can move forward with the project.
All right. Need a motion?
I'll make it.
Motion by Mr. Lobel, second by Mr. Averett. Any comments from the audience? Anything from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Okay, we ready to move?
Yeah, go ahead.
Next on the agenda, item B, authorization for e-tail, placement of fiber optic cable within the public right-of-way. We have all the signed paperwork of no objection. We mentioned this, and that's what I wait on, is to make sure it's under their nickel if we ever have to move it. So all that's in place, is what I'm saying. So I would ask you to give e-tail permission to be in our right.
Motion by Mr. King. Second by Mr. Harris. Any comments from the audience? Anything further from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
And I'm sorry, Ms. Sand, that's on Gaylord Road and Hartman Road.
That's item C, you're deferring, correct?
Yep, we're deferring. We don't have
All right.
proper paper. We don't
Mr.
have
Sam,
proper paper.
Next meeting, correct? January 11th?
January 11th, yeah.
Item D, extension to approve a final plat for Timber Ridge RV Park. They came to us before the flood, and I mean to the planning commission, and they got approved, and then on to the council and got approved. Well, their time frame has run out, so we need to create another resolution to go ahead and let them move forward. They didn't do any changes as far as the plat is concerned. I would recommend to give a time extension so they can move forward with their project.
All right. Need a motion? Motion by Mr. Averett. Second by Mr. Ard. Anything from the audience? Anything further from the council?
Mr. Sam, that's something, hold on, that's something you do so they don't have to go back through the whole entire deal again?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's just
Yeah, this
typically
is
what
just-
you'd
yeah,
want
we're
to
just
do.
rubber stamping it somewhat.
Okay.
I hate to say it like that, Scooter, but I mean, they did
Nothing
everything they
changed,
needed to
just
do.
run out of
The
time.
24 months has just expired. We just need to give them a little bit more time and let them get started. But we had the flood. And we had
Yeah,
situations
I
like that.
understand, I was just making sure that's what.
Right.
Okay, we good.
All right.
All right.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right.
Next on the agenda, item E is Old River Bridge replacement. This is something the parish replaced down in Marpole. We've got a resolution to approve the final change order that they presented us. I know our engineers, Fort Neblata, has went back and forth with them to try to come to an agreement on the change order that was necessary. And this is just a resolution to adopt and approve the final change order. And I think you got that in front of you also.
Motion to approve the change order.
Yes, sir. Please.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. King. Any comments from the audience? Anything further from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Next on your agenda would be to adopt a resolution for a recommendation to accept the project. And we went out there and done our inspection. Fort Neblata's done their inspection, so we got a new bridge. And it's a good bridge. It's a concrete bridge. So
Nice.
our recommendation is to go ahead and accept it as presented.
Need a motion to accept the recommendation. Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Harris. Anything further from the audience? Council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Mr. Sam, please indulge me here. I'm gonna skip over to item 14 and 23 real quick. It's for Mr. Wascom's sake. So, but I'll just give me just a second if you would mind.
You want me to sit down?
Yes, sir. Please do. It's a nice way of saying please sit down. Yeah. You were looking tired. now in a public hearing. This is item 14 for adoption of LP ordinance number 17-44, approval of judicial building fund service charge fee of $10 per filing as mandated by RS 13-1910E for Ward 2 and Ward 7 City Court. Mr. Wascom.
Thank you. I brought this up a couple of meetings ago. This is to allow for Ward 2 and Ward 7 City Court to charge an extra $10. I believe it's to update an old computer system. Am I correct in that, Mickey? Yeah. That's what it's for. It's just outdated. It's costing us more money than it's making. And I think legislation requires that the parish council approve it for them to charge $10 for anyone filing any suits in that court. So it's only for people who go to that court and use the services that allows them to charge $10, I believe. Isn't that correct?
And that would be traffic citations as well.
Okay. For that area. And he and Joe Shoemate, he came and spoke to y'all about it a couple weeks ago, so I appreciate your support in this.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with
And I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
All right.
If you need
No,
that.
sir.
No, second.
We're in a public hearing.
Yeah, I have to close.
Okay.
Anything from the audience? Any comments? Public hearing is now closed. Now you can give me that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Wascom, second by Mr. Harris. Would you read by title, Ms. Sandy? Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Ms. Sandy.
This is proposed ordinance 17-44, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish to add a section 2-32, Judicial Building Fund relative to court service charges.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Sandy, would you call the roll?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Lovell?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes. Item 23, request for variance of section 13-67.1, commercial development buffer zones for Covington equipment sales to waive the fence material requirement and to authorize the use of metal fence materials. Mr. Wascom.
Yeah, thanks again, Mr. Gronghouse, for putting this off, moving it up on the agenda. It's
You're very
a
welcome.
Christmas party for my mom, and I may have to slip out a little early because she's getting up in age. But this particular item is in my district as well. We have a local business there, and happens to be here tonight, but it's just another example of why sometimes passing laws, you just can't put a blanket law, and you have to look at things individually, because in our ordinance, it requires for a fence to be made out of wood. Well, this particular business doesn't want to put a wood fence because the life of a wood fence might be 7, 8, 10 years, and they're always falling down and breaking. And I understand that the intent of the ordinance was to keep people from putting just ugly corrugated metal, rotten, rusty fences, of which we've seen pictures here in front of you. But he's looking to spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for a fence. And you have some pictures of what he's wanting to do is to match his building. Money's no object for this guy.
Is it this top? Is it this top picture here?
No, that's the one he's not doing.
Where's this fence located at?
Example of I'm not doing it.
It's
okay.
located right across the street from my district, so it can't be that ugly fence.
So I want you to
So
know,
that's fine.
in this, I really support, and I think planning and zoning has even looked at it as well. And I think they'd recommend, wouldn't you say, Joe, a variance on allowing the material for this fence to be metal in this case.
So is that a motion?
So I'd like to make that motion.
Motion for
I'll
a
second
variance.
that.
Motion by Mr. Wascom, second by Mr. Harris. Any comments from the audience?
Okay, you did.
Nope. Sorry, motion by, did I
It
get
don't
that
matter.
wrong?
It's good. It's good. We
However
got-
you have it is fine.
She got me now, probably.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anything from the audience? Anything further from the council? No.
What the?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Mr. Kitchen built us a beautiful fence.
Thank you.
It'll be
All right,
fine.
Mr. Sam, you're back up.
Hey,
Give you a rest.
Okay. First on your planning commission agenda is Miss Brandy Sears, servitude revocation. It's a
13.
recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the servitude revocation for Miss Brandy Sears and go to a public hearing.
All right.
She's got all the paperwork here of no objection.
Motion
So
for
we would
introduction.
recommend moving forward with the project.
So I need a motion for the introduction.
and that's in Mr. Tab Lobell's area.
So you're going to give us a motion, Mr. Lobell? Since it's somebody? Anybody? Need a motion, guys. Seriously.
Motion.
All right.
I'm letting him.
Motion by Mr. Lobell, second by Mr. Averett. Any comment from the audience?
Let's go with somebody else.
Shane.
Anything further from the council? All right, Ms. Sandy, I'm going to have you call the vote on that one,
I'm
please.
going to read it,
I'm
give
sorry,
it
yes.
a ordinance number and set the public hearing.
All right.
Tentatively.
Thank you.
This is an ordinance revoking a certain 15-foot servitude located on lot 141 of River Highlands, second filing subdivision, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, identified by the crosshatched portion of lot 141 of River Highlands, second filing subdivision, on the special purpose survey to revoke a 15-foot servitude on lot 141 of River Highlands, second filing, situated in section 23, township 9 south, R4 east. I don't know what SED means, east of the Mississippi River, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, in favor of the land owner being more particularly described herein. This will be proposed ordinance number 17-48, and depending on the outcome of y'all's vote, it's going to be, public hearing is tentatively set for January 11th at 6 p.m.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Lobell?
Yes.
Mr. Averett?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Loscombe?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Okay, next on your agenda is HHFS subdivision preliminary plat.
I think that was pulled.
It's deferred because they had no signs.
Well, no, they had a sign, but it only went up 8 days ahead of
Well, that's true. They had
I called a
sign
bunch
up.
of flack about it, so I made a call, and they said, nope, it's got to be up 10 days ahead.
They didn't put it up soon enough. How about that?
So we're pulling it?
Yeah, it had to be deferred. Planning deferred.
All right. So we're going to go to the next item? We're
Yes, sir.
pulling. Okay, go
Yes, sir.
ahead.
Whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Dawson Creek subdivision. This also has no sign, a no sign situation, so we deferred that one.
So that's the
Okay,
same.
next on your agenda, servitude revocation. This is Mr. Don Wheats. We do not have all the letters in place for no objection, so we're going to defer that one.
Man, you're making this meeting shorter and shorter.
Item E.
And we're not finished.
We're not finished.
The next one on your agenda is a servitude revocation for Mr. John Blunt. This one has no letters in place, so we're going to defer that one also. The next one the same way, North Oaks Health System. The letters of no objections are not in place, so we deferred that one also.
I've got a question. Are they having trouble getting the letters, or are they not requesting them ahead of?
Well, I think in all defense of the engineer that's handling the project, their main guy's been on injured reserve a little bit.
Okay.
And they kind of backlogged a little bit and didn't get it out in time, so.
It's not anything to do with the parish. We're
Oh,
just,
no, it's
Okay.
just that they're working on it, but like I say, the guy that does that's been, had a little health issues, but
Okay.
he's back full force now, so I'll look for something like that.
So to roll in January, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Next one is the same situation. Jesse and Barbara Hodges, servitude revocation, no letters of objection, so we're going to ask you to defer that one also.
H. Item H.
The next one is Flatline Metalworks, preliminary site plan. This is on Hutchinson Cemetery Road in Mr. Shane Mack's district. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for Flatland Metalworks.
Mr. Mack called me earlier, said he couldn't make the meeting tonight, but he said he was okay with everything, but he's okay if we defer to the next motion.
I would say let's roll with it. Don't hold
Motion by
people up
Mr.
if we
Arn.
got the paperwork.
They've got everything in place.
Yeah.
Second by Mr. Averett. Any comments from the audience? Ms. Sandy, do you have to sign that? No? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Next on your agenda is a subdivision without improvements, Courtney Run Acres, preliminary plat. This is in Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse's district on Courtney Road. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary plat for Courtney Road Acres.
Well, I would make that motion. We're good, yeah.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Arnold. Second by Mr. Wascom. Any comments from the audience? Anything further from the council? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.
Okay, next on your agenda is South Haven subdivision, fourth filing, preliminary plat. This is in Mr. Jeff Averett's district, off of Walker South Road. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary plat for South Haven subdivision, fourth filing.
Motion by Mr. Averett.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wascom. Any comments from the audience? Please step forward, sir.
Sean Lowe. I'm the one of the board of directors and the president of the South Haven HOA. And we would like to have this put off from approval until the builder contacts the HOA, because this is an HOA subdivision. Nobody has contacted us to discuss anything as far as making sure the new additions are going to be part of the HOA. We also have issues with the roads, and we want to make sure that there is a set standard put in place how they're going to repair the roads during and after construction. As Mr. Everett knows, he's been contacted quite a bit by us from previous contractors. When they did additions, they completely destroyed our roads. So we just have a lot of concerns, because technically when the homeowners took over it, per the articles of incorporation, the homeowners, when they take over, that's supposed to be the completion of the subdivision. Well, now they're trying to add a fourth filing to our subdivision. No contact to the HOA. There's several residents that are concerned because the lot sizes are smaller than what are actually in our subdivision now. They are within the guidelines and what the parish requires. But everybody's worried, what size houses are you going to build? How are you going to bring down our home values? Things like that. So we're asking for you to suspend this vote until they get more in touch with the association, and we make sure that everyone is going to be a part of this HOA, because it's not fair for 300 individuals in a neighborhood of 400 people pay dues, and then you got a fourth quarter filing that can do whatever they want, park boats wherever they want, and we got to pay for all the upkeep and maintenance for them. So we want to make sure that they are going to be part of the HOA, and they are going to follow all the restrictions that we already have in force through the whole subdivision.
Mr. Sam, you had talked to him today, didn't you, about some of the same things?
I contacted, there was a gentleman that comes to play with this meeting, I don't know, I don't have his name in front of me, but he had some concern, as well as you did too. We don't get into homeowners association business. We just ask, we make sure they follow the ordinances. And we do have a ordinance in place that protects existing roads. And I spoke to the developer today. There was some concerns about building in the third file, or building houses or homes next to some of the third filing's existing houses. And he said he would handle that. He didn't want to put anything that looked out of place in the third filing. Then when he gets back now, I don't know the houses, I haven't looked at what they're going to be. I can't answer that. All I'm going by is what he said to me. They wouldn't shame down the third filing in that area. And I'm sure what they'll do is they'll kind of build what's there in the third filing. I believe they said they have 2 or 3 lots left in the third filing.
Six, isn't it?
6?
I think I was told 6.
In the third filing,
3 or 6.
all of the lots are complete except for one, and the HOA actually purchased it. It's the only one without a house. There were 3 lots that were pulled during filing phase 1. Those 3 lots are going to be where the entranceway is. Out of those 3 lots, they're putting a road in, and there's 5 lots that are going to put there now that adjoin straight to phase 1. There's no way they can put a house comparable. If that was only enough for 3 houses, they're going to put 5 and a road. There's no way they can put a comparable house right there beside houses that are already at a certain standard. There's no way. because there was only room for 3. Now they're gonna put 5 houses in a road. No way it can be.
Mr. Chris, I brought up, I've got somebody building a subdivision inside of one of my subdivisions in my district also, and the HOA had the same concerns about the roads, about the HOA. The subdivision that's coming inside of mine is a separate entity. It's named something different, and the whole 9 yards, different size lots and everything. Well, I don't think they would have to meet the HOA standard of the other subdivision. But if this is South Haven,
Fourth file.
they're going to have to go by what your ordinance, what your requirements say. That's not our concern, but I think that's the way, isn't that correct? They would have to adhere to your HOA's restrictions.
And the reason that we have a lot of concern now with that is within our subdivision, because lots were sold prior to restrictions being filed. There's, I think, 6 lots that were in the first filing that were originally not a part. Now there's 2 original homeowners still there. They follow the regulations, but they're not part of it. But in the third filing, they sold 6 lots off before restrictions were filed through the county clerk's office. There's still no restrictions on 6 lots in our subdivision. They do whatever they want. That causes a huge issue within a homeowner association when everyone else follows the rules but 6 people. So then,
Yeah, that's one of those
Yeah.
instances where it really is just,
What can you do?
yeah. But as far as that, what Mr. Chris is saying, and that, the way I understand it, these are going to be built after your restrictions are filed. They're going to have to adhere to your restrictions. But is that a state law?
Well, the state law allows any subdivision to create restrictions, and then there's a mechanism by which any homeowner or the association can enforce those restrictions. But your ordinance, your state law doesn't give you the power to enforce.
Right. And we don't, yeah. Right. Yeah, that's why HOAs are there. Yeah. So,
so is there any way to put like a stipulation on the vote that they
We
have to
can't.
make sure nothing?
we can't do it, but I mean, you just have to make sure that your HOA contacts them.
Contact them, make them go to the rules.
Yeah, this is what we go by.
If we go off 99% of the time, we go off the recommendation of the planning commission, the guys that we've got in place.
Yeah, and it doesn't have anything to do with the restrictions
HOA.
because we don't even look at that. That's nothing to do with us.
So basically, the planning commission and ultimately this council, their only power is to make sure that this development is following the ordinances in place. So they can't go beyond that and require they do something beyond that. So,
And we can't stop them from building, and it'd be wrong to delay them building if they meet the ordinance. I think in the past that's happened before, and they all that happens is they sue the parish and they win. And it just costs you and me more money.
Right.
Whereas if you work with the people, like you say, and if you're not in contact with them, how can you work with them? Even if they go, well, we can't build a 2,200 square foot house because it physically won't fit, but we can build nice houses, 14, 16, whatever it would be. And then you would be, okay, well, we understand since they 50-foot lots, you can't build that house.
I mean, I guess the short thing is, if the HOA is in place now and they do the filing, then they have to follow your rules.
Your rules.
The lots that came in before the rules were in place, there's nothing done about that. Okay. And I don't know if that's what you're inquiring about. You just want to make sure on that. So,
I think actually when they change hands, they could probably make them adhere to it, wouldn't it?
If it's already filed at the county clerk, at the clerk's office, the new homeowner would have to abide by the restrictions.
Yeah.
My big thing is I want to make sure all of these lots do have restrictions filed at the clerk's office before ownership changes. You see, that way they're definitely part of the HOA, because that's what's happened in filing phase 3. There was a few sold prior to it, so they don't have to follow.
I see what you're trying.
Yeah.
You don't want another 6 lots falling.
Right, or 74.
If I'm not mistaken, though, this plat is the official plat. If we accept it, then all of these lots will be filed at the clerk.
But
yeah, so it's
already done. They won't be able to pull any of those out.
But it doesn't state anywhere on that plat that it's part of an HOA like the other 3 plats do.
It should.
Well,
Should it say that?
To touch on your statement, they can change it, but it's got to come back to you first.
And we could say no.
And you can say that.
Okay, so what is your take? This is your district.
I say we go with it, just what the recommendation of the planning.
And if we do have a problem, we can.
And we got another issue too.
Okay, I know that, you're here.
MoDAP. Their station for South Haven is substandard and not up to par to take the 307 houses we have. It trips all the time, still trips to date. They're supposed to be bringing it up to our standards now. We have to pay more money monthly for that to happen. Now they want to add 74 more houses. They want to tie into that too? Is that going to cost us more money?
Should help with it.
Or is it going to be fixed prior to them adding these lots?
Is that something, I know you brought the DHH guys in.
That's DHH's department, I have no clue what the cost of that.
Well, I know, but you remember the guys you brought in and introduced to us that are helping to work and look at a few things? Can they look at these? Are they going around and checking these deals?
What these developments go, and help me, Chad, these developments are really serious and engineered. They go to the state for approval. Our DHH department doesn't approve
Subdivision.
these subdivisions
Just the-
with improvements.
Okay, just the regular
That goes to the
MoDAP
state
system.
level.
Okay.
And the engineers resolve all that. They're engineers, DHH's engineers. And they communicate with our engineers. So, I don't know if that answers the question or not. But
I mean, that's yeah, right.
MoDAP's really out of our hands.
It really is, and
That's through the state.
but I don't think deferring this thing would answer any of these questions. You know, because we wouldn't be able to get those answers. That we don't deal with that. I hate to hold up progress. I'm a stickler for details when it comes to these things. What about the signing up 10 days before? Don't come looking and let us go ahead and go through. You done missed the first thing, you know? It's a tough deal. They put 27 lots in Lakes at North Park with future and after that, inside their subdivision. And they're gonna be 50-foot lots.
Yeah.
But if they decide to vary from this plat,
We can stop that.
We can.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
And I
And
believe,
we
I
usually-
believe that, I'm not going to speculate, but I believe that you would get support on that in this council.
Yeah, I think you would. Yeah. You know, if they tried to change something and we thought that it would be detrimental to the rest of that area, like you said, you
Yeah.
can't say that
It's
we.
gonna bring your value down.
Yeah, and I don't think these houses will devalue the area because, Livingston Parish is rural, okay? Most of it.
And I understand house sizes, that's not what you go by, it's the price per square foot.
Yeah, right.
And I understand that, but now when you have half HOA, half not,
That makes a difference.
that's an issue.
And so I
if
think
your
that
sewer
you
system
can-
can't handle
I
it,
think that's
that's an
answered.
issue.
They're gonna have to be an HOA.
Yeah, I think that's an answerable question.
Like I say,
They're gonna have to be an
I
HOA.
do know the other three plants specifically say that it is part of South Haven Homeowner Association, but this plant does
Joe,
not state.
would there be a reason why it's not on their plat?
I'll-
I'm gonna have to defer to Billy on that.
If you want to finish making your comments, I'll try to address most of them.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
So if there's any comments.
okay, that'll work.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Macklin, or McLean? Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor.
Billy Taylor.
Billy Macklin sounds good.
Well, I'll start with the HOA. There will be an HOA for this. I'm not an attorney, I don't know the laws. I just know the developer has done this. I think they developed the first three filings. They developed all the Barber Walk. They developed everything around here. So I know there will be an HOA. They'll follow the proper process. I don't read the restrictions, but they seem to follow the same restrictions just about everything they do. So I can't say that one or two words might not change, but I could only imagine they'll be pretty much exactly the same. As far as, I don't know, probably at this point in time, they didn't feel like they needed to, but I'm sure whenever the time's right, they'll do they're still a long time away from building a house out there, several months to years. So when the time gets right, they'll probably contact the proper HOA. So I think that would be the reason. On the final plat, we will have a note on there that says this is subject to restrictive covenants that will be filed according with that. The owner files that, we don't, but we do have that note on there. So hope that answers your questions about the HOA. I think Mr. Sam answered the question about the road. I know he's met with the developer. There's an ordinance in place that they have to bond out any public roads that they use to get to there, and they're going to go videotape it. We're going to have a pre-construction conference discuss entrance to and from the subdivision, construction and permanent, and anything that gets messed up or broken, or they'll have to fix it, and we'll have a mechanism in place to make sure that happens. MODAD, there is a MODAD that handles this subdivision. I say MODAD is a sewer treatment plant owned by MODAD. Right across the field of value is Arbor Walk. They have a new facility. It's a whole lot more, I say, new. It's a whole lot newer than this, higher standards. It's going to handle a whole lot more sewer than that, so we haven't done the engineering yet. Usually we don't get released to do the engineering until we get conceptual approval, which is what we're here for now, but we will go before DHH, and we may have to go to that plant there instead of the South Haven plant. Depends which one has the capacity, but they put a lot of money into the new plant north, so I imagine we'll probably be going there.
They back up to each other? I mean, are they pretty close in proximity, the developments?
Yeah, I guess as the crow flies, yes.
Okay.
You've got to drive around, but this one's kind of towards when you take in South Haven. It's kind of to the right, heading back to where Arbor Walk. You got to go all the way around and come back in.
Pull a sewer force main, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, so from here to there, I think we got the servitude and everything to get to the new sewer.
All right.
So I'll get your information, I'll leave and pass it on to the owner, and hopefully y'all can get together and answer some questions. But I hope I answered y'all's questions. If I have any more, I'd be happy to answer.
Sam, didn't y'all go out and video today?
We've already videoed it. And I've already, like I said, I contacted the developer.
Right.
And we're going to get together and find a route in and out, so we can have a designated area. I just still want to set the road to last year.
Yeah. And I actually talked.
I hate to have to feel the pain. Hopefully one day we can put this thing on the capital outlay program and move forward with it. But we have videoed it, and I have spoken to the developer. And I also mentioned to somebody in the planning commission meeting that he was welcome to call my office, and we would call that developer, he and I. And I don't think it was any of this, the group was here, but you probably know who it was. He had an orange shirt on. And I welcome him anytime, just let him call the office, so I'll make sure I'm there. And we'll call the developer, we'll ask him, and you're more than welcome. Like to keep it down, one or two folks, I have no problem communicating with the owner developer. We'll ask him.
Now, I've had several calls from South Haven about the potholes in there. And I actually talked to Mr. Sam, and I talked a little while ago, and he's going to send a crew out there to start working on them potholes. Try to get some of that done where, at least not tearing your vehicles up.
Yeah, I went ahead and I forwarded you some actual pictures after the storm.
Okay.
It is horrible.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Sam, I think he's going to try to do that next week or so, roughly.
Yep.
I know it's the holidays, but.
Well, we're going to get on it as quick as we can, Jim. I'm going to try to do something next week.
Thank you.
Because that's probably the longest work week we have in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get a crew of guys out there and do some hot mixing in some of these areas.
Thank you. I'll make a recommendation.
We got a motion in a second, right? Anything further
Mr.
from the
Avery,
audience?
Mr. Wascom.
Anything further from the council? Ms. Sandy, would you call the vote, please?
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Avery.
Yes.
Mr. R.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom. Mr. Garlinghouse.
Yes. Item 18, introduction of an ordinance to dissolve Whispering Springs Community Development District.
Where you at?
Or is it? Item 18.
Okay.
And, dissolving Whispering Springs Community Development District. Mr. Ard?
This is basically the same thing we did with Isabella Lakes. So this is just an introduction. They'll be back on the next meeting, January 11th, with all the proper paperwork and everything we need to do it the way we did Isabella Lakes.
Okay.
So
We got to do the same thing?
same thing as we did with the others.
You got your board set up?
They had a board already, still active and everything.
Great.
Slightly different, they're
Yeah.
voluntarily dissolving, but they will have to meet your standards when they come back to be accepted into the system.
Okay.
And they've been talking back and forth with Chris on this. So
Okay. Good.
we should be
All
good.
right.
So I'd like to make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Ard,
I'll say second.
you don't mind.
Second by Mr. King.
So
Anything
nice
from
you
the
remember
audience?
me.
I had to think about it. Ms. Sandy, you need to read that by title?
Yes, sir. This will be
Please make
proposed
it
ordinance
so.
17-49. This is an ordinance dissolving North Springs Community Development District within the parish of Livingston, state of Louisiana, in compliance with the provisions of Chapter 27-B, Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950, as amended, Louisiana Revised Statute 33-9039.11 to 33-9039.37, inclusive. The public hearing will be set for January 11th at 6 p.m.
Anything further from the audience? You guys got anything else? Ms. Sandy, would you call the vote, please?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. R?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom is still absent.
He's
Mr.
gone.
Gillenhouse?
Yes.
Did he leave or did he?
Yeah, he left. He said his mom. Yeah. So, item 19, introduction of an ordinance for a minor subdivision has been deferred to January 11th, 2018. Item 20, introduction of ordinance for the pond excavation requirements, also deferred to January 11th, 2018. Which brings us to item 21, introduction of an ordinance, amend LP number 17-43, streets, quit claims in servitude and right-of-way revocation procedure. This is normally Mr. Mack, but he couldn't make it in tonight, so could you speak to this, Mr. Moody?
I think it's good to go. It's come from their committee, so I think it's ready to be introduced. So it needs to be read by title, and someone needs to move it for its introduction.
Well, that sounds good.
Can I ask a bunch of questions?
I mean, I don't know.
I would be okay.
I would say no, but you'd probably do it anyway, so.
And you can tell me this.
But you can make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Avery. Anything from the audience? Anything further from the council? Ms. Sandy, would you read by title,
This is
please?
proposed ordinance 17-50, ordinance to amend LP ordinance 17-43, adopted on November 21st, 2017, in Chapter 13, Land Development, Article 1 in general, by amending the section number of this ordinance from Section 13-3 to be read and on as 13-4, streets, quit claim servitudes, and rights-of-way revocation procedure of the code of ordinances in the parish of Livingston. Public hearing will be set at 6 p.m. January 11th, 2018.
That was impressive, Ms. Sandy. You just belting that out there.
I was going to ask questions about it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item 22, board reappointments and accept board resignations. So can we
It's
do
all
all the
you.
resignations together and then do all the appointments together?
I
Or
think you can.
Well,
two votes or what?
I only have one resignation.
Oh, resignation? Well, then,
One resignation, three reappointments. Two reappointments, one new appointment.
They work at your pleasure, so hey.
all right.
Don't ask me.
All right. Item A, Fire Protection District number 4, board reappointment, Mr. Ard.
All right, the first one is for Fire District number 4, and I need to reappoint Mr. Leslie Fox for Fire Protection District 4. And I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Lobel. Anything from the audience? Anything from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item B.
All right, item B is Gravity Drainage District number 5, reappointment. I want to reappoint Mr. Murray Morgan, and he is actually the director for number 5. I will make that,
This is the one that we kind of had a little,
This ain't right.
it's a gravity 2 instead of
Yeah.
5. We were
Okay.
talking and said gravity.
Gravity
It
2,
should be
Gravity 2 board.
Yeah.
You got appointments on there?
I do, I have one.
Well, you don't need
Mr.
that.
Murray Morgan.
You don't need that anymore.
You made that motion,
I
didn't you?
made that motion.
Mr. Ard, it's a motion. Second by Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Anything from the audience? Anything further from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.
Did we ever expand that to 7?
Not yet.
We got to make
Item
legislature
C.
and
Gravity Drainage District Number 6, board resignation, Mr. Ard.
All right, we have Mr. Wayne Sibley that sent in his resignation. Most of y'all know Mr. Wayne was a school board member for a long time. He served on the board since we put it together, and Mr. Wayne has just done his part, and he's ready to be retired. So I would like to make a motion to accept his resignation.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Averett. Anything from the audience? Anything from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item D, Gravity Drainage District Number 6, board appointment.
All right, to appoint in place of Mr. Wayne, I'm going to appoint, or would like to appoint his son, David Sibley, to take his place. So I'll make that motion.
is that our David Sibley?
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Averett. Anything from the council? Anything from the audience? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Item E, ratify Fire Protection District Number 2's appointment made by the town of Springfield, Mr. Lobel.
Need to appoint or reappoint Mr. Eddie Freeton to the Springfield Fire Board there,
All right.
District Number 2.
It's just ratifying. We don't need the point, we're just ratifying.
Call vote. You need to vote though, correct?
Please.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Lobel, second by Mr. Averett.
We done cleared the house.
Anything from the audience? Hey, anything from y'all?
Mr. Jenkins.
Anything from the council? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right. Well, let's see here. We'll lift it at the end. So, 24. Request to waive the requirements for Section 14-23, reference to a petition to name a public servitude location off of Louisiana Highway 444, Deer Dynasty Road. Mr. LaBelle, for 911 purposes.
Yes,
Sorry.
it's a hunt lodge, and so there's not many people on that road to get to like sign a petition. So pretty much the 911 folks said that one place can say it's okay. So
Who's that belong to?
they're the only ones on the road. So we'd like to do that.
It's actually off of Bull
name it.
Run, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually off of Bull Run, I believe, yeah.
Been there before.
Motion to name the road Deer Dynasty Road.
I'm gonna second it.
Motion by Mr. LaBelle, second by Mr. Averett. Anything from the audience?
And waive the petition requirement.
Yes,
Yeah,
waive
that's-
petition retirement. Thank you for correcting me.
She keeps us
All in favor,
straight.
say aye. All opposed? All right.
Actually, it's that they keep us straight. You got too
Where we
many
at
women
here? All
running
right.
the show around here.
Everybody take a breath.
Can't get a man in here.
Request for waiver intent for allowance of permitting due to the restrictions of LP ordinance, good old LP ordinance 17-22, prohibitions and restrictions of use. This is my last full meeting, so I'm just going to have a little fun here. Restrictions of use for the mobile home, manufactured home to be placed in the named subdivision for intent of on-site custom-built single-family homes. We have nothing, so
let's read it off.
We'll right on to item 26.
Why not? All night.
You know, I just figured I'd be long-winded.
Let's drag it out. I mean, I'm not going to a party or anything that I'm late for.
Man, that's hypocrisy
You
there.
want to come with me to an HOA Christmas party? Come on, we're going to go have fun.
Discuss and adopt resolution to cancel the December 28, 2017 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council, and this one's me. So, I'm not into canceling meetings, but it is 3 days after Christmas. I figured I'd have more haters than lovers on that one.
Still be
so-
returning them old boxers that don't fit.
Well, yeah, you know, so I am requesting a resolution to not meet on the 28th.
We need a motion.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I don't have anything to do that night.
You just second
I'm
that?
gonna second that,
Oh,
yes.
wow. I went a step forward there.
That's the only one I'm going to-
Second by Mr. Lobell. Any discussion for the audience?
But everybody else has to be here but us,
Any
right?
discussion from the council? The other council members?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Now, we need to lift the agenda so Mr. Ard can add Was it two? You need to make an appointment. It was, it didn't make the draft, and I think it was Mr. Jones,
Yeah, I have-
Mayor Jones is replacing it. So I need a motion to lift the agenda.
I'll make that
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Ard. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion lifted. Mr. Ard?
All right, because of the passing of former Mayor Mr. Darrell Jones, who served us well, I have two appointments that I need to make to replace him. One will be the 911 Board, which I would like to make a motion for Mr. Darrell's right-hand man, Joey Sibley.
I have a motion by Mr. Ard for the 911 Board for Mr. Ducey. Joey Sibley. Second by Mr. Lobel. Anything from the audience? Anything further from the council? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Next item?
Next one will be the Recreation District 5. We have Mr. Jonathan Taylor that I'd like to appoint in Mr. Darrell's spot.
JT?
Recreation District 5, appoint Mr. Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Need a motion, I got a motion by Mr. Ard, second
He'd be a good guy.
by Mr. Lobel. Anything from
Just some
you
more of
guys?
that dynasty down there.
Anything further from the council? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
You're right.
I need a
You're right
motion
about
to
a good
re-enter the
guy.
meeting.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Ard,
Oh, no, we can't end
second by
yet.
Mr. King.
Oh, come on.
You have a second?
Yes.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We now re-entered the regular meeting. District Attorney report.
No report. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Never have nothing.
Committee reports. St. Max gone. Frog's gone. So 28 is gone. 29, councilman comments. Everybody but Scooter can.
Oh, it's your last meeting.
Got an hour, council.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
That's mine. I'll make that.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ard. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?